Hello, my name is Will O'Dwyer and I'm going to show you a F&B, food and beverage solution for NetSuite. It's an application developed within NetSuite, all in SuiteScript, no third-party applications required. So what we've done is we've modified using SuiteScript, the NetSuite core system, to allow for recipes and formulations suitable for food and beverage and process manufacturing. At the heart of the system is formulations and recipes. So this, as you can see, is a NetSuite screen. It uses all the standard NetSuite features, and I'll highlight some of the specific features for food and beverage and process manufacturing. The one I'll choose is a salmon fillet. It shows a lot of the features. So what we'll do is we'll go into view this recipe, which is to make salmon fillet. Think about salmon fillet, it's a food product. It's like a soya bean processed product. It's a food product. It has shelf life. It has lot traceability. The system utilizes the standard NetSuite items. What this does then is you can have approval steps. So here you can see that the recipe has been approved. You have different versions. In food and process manufacturing, you usually have different versions based upon the season. You can of course put in different instructions and you can have effective dates. So a recipe or a process is valid from the 1st of June to the 30th of June, then it switches to a different one. Might be weather conditions or raw material supply conditions, so whatever the reasons are. You can then have the production quantity, so how much you want to produce. This is produced 10 kilos, minimum maximum quantity. There's some very comprehensive costing, which I'll come back into more detail in a little while. But then sort of the heart of the system is the ability to have multiple ingredients, and the key thing for food is multiple outputs. For instance, here you have a whole salmon going into the recipe. You have some lemon, but then coming out of the recipe, you can have salmon bone, you can have salmon tail, you can have finished salmon product. So these are like waste products, co-products, and primary products. Reason this is very important for food people is that this can't be achieved in a bill of materials. Core NetSuite is a bill of materials type system, has work orders, has routing, has all of that stuff. We've replaced all of that with this module. In order for this module to work, you don't need to have any more the work orders module for the customer. You can replace all the work order functionality, all the jobs within the FernSpeed food and beverage. Let me quickly go into one of these lines. So let's go into the say the ingredient line. We'll go into this, the whole salmon, which goes to make the fillets. I'll show you some of the features inside this. This demonstration, by the way, will last hopefully about 5 to 6 minutes. So what it is here you have the quantity of salmon required, 12 kilos. It's an ingredient, and I'll just show you down here is you can have it as an ingredient which comes from stock, or you can get the system to create an automatic purchase order. So if you select it as a purchased item, it then creates a standard NetSuite purchase in order to order the items from an external supplier. We have yield and we have potency. We have full yield tracing, we have potency, and I won't show you this, but in the system we have full allergen and nutrition labeling. So if you have a Singapore food label, you can print that out from the same recipe, a Hong Kong nutrition label, allergen label, a Malaysian one. From the same recipe, you can print out multiple different format recipes. I won't show you that in this, but because that's a whole session in itself. So once you put the different recipe lines in, you can go back, and then once you put all the different recipe lines in, and you can have as many different recipe ingredients, you can have as many different inputs, many different outputs as you want, so it can reflect real food production. There's of course instructions. You can put instructions on how to do it, prints out a lovely recipe sheet. Then the other key thing here is you can have machines and overheads. So machines are the machines that do the work, and against each machine is an amount of time, and against the time is a cost. So you can have as many different machines as you want and as many different overheads. So the people who design the recipes can put in the electricity overhead, the cost of the rental of the machine, or even the factory. So you can get very accurate costing. Typically, food companies have very tight margins, so this is very important for them. So full machine and full overhead costing. Of course, you can put in the labor as well. So we've got a supervisor, some waste handling, some general labor. All of these have some costs against it. So the idea is you can then cost the product very accurately. Then there's allergens, and then we'll come back to the FernSpeed order. So once you've done all of this recipe modeling, you want to see what the cost is. And there's a button at the top here. You press calculate cost, and the system goes through and it very comprehensively works out the cost of making this salmon fillet. At the right hand side over here, it's a very nice costing, we think it's a very nice costing, which shows you the theoretical cost. So what happens is it says you need a whole salmon. This is the cost of the salmon, $108, because we're in Hong Kong. On the machines here, it tells you need $21 worth of machine 1, $12 of machine 2. Then here's the various labor costs. So it gets all the costs, puts them into the system. Then what it says is it says the total cost is here, allocates it against all the finished products. You can put in what the margin required is, and then it says what the suggested sales revenue would be. Then at the bottom here, it tells you how much you should sell it for. You should sell the salmon fillet at $2.51 per kilo. And the salmon tail, which is also, remember, a product you can sell, is $5.59 each. The other nice thing is on the left-hand side here is the costing if you made it now. So using the labor, the machines, and the raw materials, the ingredients you have to hand now, it works out what the cost is. Does the same in principle, but it uses the cost of the items there. So for instance, total ingredient with inventory now is $72.66, but if you use the theoretical cost, it's $108. What this does is it tells you in order to make this, at the moment, this costs you can sell this for $1.91 per kilogram. Whereas before on the theoretical it's $2.51, and the salmon tail you can sell for $4.25 each. Very useful information for production people. So after you've, and we think, I'm a food person, my partner's a food people, we think this is very comprehensive recipe management for food and process people. After you've done that, of course, what you do is create jobs. You want to make the product. So what you can do, and I'll show you the quickest way, is you go to a FernSpeed order, which is called a production order, and then you can just create a production order. I won't go too much into this because it's already 8 minutes, and we'll probably have another video on this. But basically the outline here is you can actually say when it needs to be completed, the date it needs to be completed, the amount you need to make. Then using demand planning and using other expiry date control, it will then order the raw materials in order for you to meet the demand for this this product, this salmon fillet. It goes through the same recording, and in fact it goes through the different stages of recording. System uses the latest NetSuite feature, which is custom records. So all the item postings, all the GL postings, all the inventory uses the standard NetSuite features, so that's all absolutely fine. Also, the other thing as well is we use catch weight. Catch weight is a very difficult thing within NetSuite. To basically sum it up is, in food manufacture, you often have an item which has two different units of measure. For instance, you have one salmon, but it might weigh 10.2 kilos. Another one, still one salmon, might weigh 10.8 kilos. So one item has two different units of measure. We have managed to do that within NetSuite, so it's called catch weight, and we have a solution for that. System we think is very suitable for food and beverage. We have a number of customers already, and also for process manufacturing, which is like food in sort of more of a factory environment, and we have customers using it for that. Thank you very much.